Hi, welcome to another episode of Webcam Sessions. This week we're going to talk a little bit about improvising, and I'm going to give you some of the stuff that I like to think about to craft a good solo. To be able to solo for today's stuff, though, you'll want to check out the episode we did on the one-string solos in the blues, and that's basically we're just going to be playing on the A string using the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 10th, and 12th frets to solo today. We're keeping it very basic from that standpoint because we're going to talk a lot more about the concepts of soloing and how to kind of craft a good solo line. So what is a solo supposed to be? And the way that I like to think about this is it's an improvised melody, right? So if a solo is an improvised melody, the next question is, what makes a great melody? And this is a question that's much bigger. And what I think a really great melody has is a kind of shape or contour to it. It has repetition, meaning it's repeating things, and it's trying to communicate something. Now, typically what happens is melodies have lyrics with them, and these lyrics are communicating something, and it's not just the words, but how they're spoken that can really dictate what's being said, or at least how it's being perceived as said, right? Now, on the ukulele, we don't have the opportunity to use lyrics when we're making a solo. So we have to think more about the inflections of a voice more than the words themselves. So to start with this, let's say that a great melody is going to be essentially something that is asked or said and repeated. So the way I'm going to think about this right now is I'm going to ask a question and answer it for my main part of the melody. So I'm going to start by saying, maybe my question is, do I like the blues, right? And then my answer might be, yes, I love the blues. Really simple, really easy sentences overall. But if I just were to say these sentences with a monotone, they wouldn't really communicate much, right? Do I like the blues? Yes, I like the blues. It doesn't actually communicate anything. Normally, when we ask a question, our voices go up, like we're wondering something. Sometimes people do this when they're saying an answer. It's kind of fascinating, right? So if I say, do you love the blues? You can hear that my voice is going up to create the illustration of a question being asked. So now I'm going to play, do you love the blues? I'm just going to, again, use the open A string with the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 10th, 12th frets. And so I'm going to ask, do you love the blues? So here we go. Do you love the blues? You can hear how it sounds like a question I'm asking, right? Do you love the blues? Right? The reason is because I'm going upward in pitch. Just like if I go like this, it sounds like a question, and that's what I'm trying to illustrate with my ukulele. Now I'm going to give a reply. Yes, I love the blues. Now when we answer something, our voice doesn't go up, it actually goes down. Right? When we're saying a fact, we like our voices to go down. So yes, I love the blues. So maybe I'll go, yes, I love the blues. You can hear that I started high and then moved back downward to create that sort of sound. Now in both of these exercises, you'll notice that I'm not just playing straight up. I'm sort of starting in one area and making my way down or up over a series of notes, right? Where it's not just play one note, then one higher than that, then one higher than that. Maybe it's play one note, play one higher, play that first note again, jump down to one below, and whatever you sort of want to do. Just like our voices, don't just keep going up and up and up and up and then keep going down and down and down and down. We have these natural tendencies to jump up and down in pitch to illustrate different sounds, right? So this is an immensely simple concept that we can use to create really, really cool sounding solos that create a little bit more in terms of our rhythmic variations. Actually, I was really lucky at the Palm Springs Ukulele Festival that I was teaching at to be able to see Abe Lagrimas, who's one of the greatest jazz ukulele players and just kind of new age ukulele music. Go check out his stuff if you haven't before. I'm sure we'll link it below. But I took one of his workshops on improvisation, and one thing he said really, really stuck with me, which is there are only so many notes you can play, but the rhythm is endless. Right? We have a limitless versions of rhythms that we can play to illustrate things. So it's really important to take those into consideration. And Abe being a phenomenal drummer, if you've seen his uke videos, make sure you check out his drumming videos too. of course has that rhythmic spin on it. And I just think that's so fascinating and such a cool thing to think about. And the way that I like to think about that more is by creating these sort of sentences or phrases to try to communicate something. So now, how this ties back to the melody of the repetition is maybe I'll ask a question, give an answer, and I'll ask the question in a slightly different way and give an answer in a slightly different way, right? Something like, do I like the blues? Yes, I love the blues. Do I really like the blues? I really, really like the blues. You know, something like that. And that could end up being, do I like the blues? Yes, I like the blues. Do I really, really like it? Yes, I really, really like it, right? And so now I'm starting to create a melody, and these sentences are pretty boring. Let's be real. I said really twice in a row. So we can create things that are much more complicated, that use things that naturally occur in our speech, words with interesting numbers of syllables, things with 3. Words like strawberry are really fun to try to play because it's not quite that, you know, do you like the blues? If I say, I love it like a strawberry, that might end up making it sound much different. Right? And we can kind of play around with it any way we'd like. So I hope to do more on improvising. This is just sort of scratching the surface on one of the things that I like to think about when creating a good solo. And so I think we'll talk about more in future episodes. But if you guys have any questions with soloing, and maybe you have a trick that you like to use, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Webcam Sessions.